Hello, welcome back to Knowing Nature Minecraft Edition and the Giant Ant Colony. This is the Teacher's Guide video, and I'm going to be talking about some ideas for how you can link this build into different parts of the curriculum. So first link is to the habitat. So in this area, we've created a whole environment for our ants to live in with all the things that they need to live. We've got sources of food in the form of these little farms. We've added some little pools of water. And we've got shelter, of course, in the form of the anthills. We've got protection from predators. So I modeled this colony after a black garden ant colony. So I've tried to do a bit of landscaping around to make it look like that kind of habitat as well. So I've made some giant grasses and some other flowers, like this dandelion here. And of course, there's the vetch over there. Other plants that they might find in the same habitat. So I've done a bit of thinking, a bit of research into what other plants and other organisms will share the same habitat as the black ants, and I've incorporated them as well, like this giant blue butterfly, for instance. So you might have your students do research on a different animal species and create an environment for them that includes all the different things that they need in order to survive. So to demonstrate learning, you might have students give a tour of their colony and focus on the different parts of the habitat that they've included in order to help their animals to survive. Another idea might be to have students make a travel guide for their colony, or a kind of a map describing the different parts of the colony and what visitors to the colony might be able to see there. They might design a scavenger hunt so that others will need to explore the colony and learn about the different rooms in order to find certain items. They might also challenge other students to find things that are a bit out of place and explain why those elements of their colony are not supposed to be there. If your class is a little bit more comfortable using the Minecraft Education Edition, or if you're a bit more advanced, then you might give your villagers or the people who live inside the colony different text that they say, so that when others interact with those villagers, they tell them what their role is inside the colony. You might also want to use the achievement system so that once a student has visited different parts of the colony, they might answer questions in order to get different achievements in the game. Of course, a habitat also includes threats and predators, so they might include that in their build as well, like I did here with this fungus that attacks the ants, that infects them. So ants are a great species to use for this because they are, of course, social insects. They live together in really big groups, in big colonies, and that lends itself really well to being done in a more classroom setting. Students could work together to plan the layout for their colony, with students taking on different aspects of the design. Some might want to focus on creating the more general habitat and making the layout like I did here. Other students might like the decorating aspect of Minecraft, so they might take the interior rooms of the colony and design those. So they might take on designing storage areas, brood chambers for larvae and pupae, the queen's chamber. Students who like the farming and growing aspects of Minecraft, they might take on designing how the colony is going to collect its food. So is the colony going to be one that herds aphids to collect food? Are they going to be seed gatherers, or are they going to be leaf cutting ants? And they might design those food gathering spaces. There are also many different species of ants, so you might split your class into smaller groups, each one picking a different ant species. So some might want to build the black garden ant. Others might want to build their colonies in the style of ants that live in more warm, dry areas, like this huge mound here. And they probably build a bigger version of that. It's just a little model. Others might want to choose an ant species that builds their nests up in plants, actually, and they use leaves to build their colonies from. And these species are really cool because what they'll do is they'll actually fold the leaf and then use their larvae, which secrete silk, to sort of stitch together the leaf to create these little rooms, these little chambers, and then each of these leaves will contain, will be brood chambers, places for food storage, a chamber for the queen to live. And of course it's Minecraft, so you might not need to be super strict with it. So here I've taken one of these folded leaf chambers and converted it into a more standard bedroom here, but still functional. So I've got crafting, cooking space, storage space. And students might like to choose different leaves, and each one could have their own room in this bigger plant colony. Another good topic area you might look at is classification and sorting animals into different groups. So you might have students build different insects inside the game. And Minecraft is really great for this because the limitations of using these cubes means that students need to think really hard about what are the key features to try and include in their model in the game so that it's clear what that animal is. So in this case with the ant, I've tried to include some of the key features, that being the 3 body parts. So there's the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. I figured that that is really key to making it clear what this is. And so you need those sort of wider areas and thinner areas. Otherwise, it'll look just like one long sausage and you might mistake it for something like a caterpillar. I've also included things like the mandibles and 2 antennae, and ants generally have very short antennae, so I just did that there. With the butterfly, same thing. I knew that they had 3 body parts, so again we've got the head, thorax, and the abdomen. And the feature that's really key for identifying a lot of butterfly species is the pattern on the wings. And so here with this blue butterfly, I've tried to pay really close attention to what's the pattern on the upper side of the wing and what's the pattern on the underside, because on many butterflies, it's a combination of the upper and undersides of the wings that are really important for identification. So students will need to pay really close attention to that. What they might do then is share screenshots or pictures using the camera in Minecraft with each other and have them try and figure out what the animal that they've built is. When I shared screenshots of this build with my friends, they came back with a few different identifications, which were all quite possible, but I really wanted this to be the Adonis blue butterfly. So that meant that I needed to take their guesses and I needed to look at reference photos, compare them really closely, and look for features that told them apart. And that led me to finding out that the Adonis blue butterfly has this kind of checkered fringe to their forewings that a lot of the other very similar butterflies didn't have. And I also needed to pay really close attention to where these little orange spots were. Were they just on the hind wing, or do they tend to come up onto the forewings as well? And then include those features in the build. So again, in terms of demonstrating what they've learned, they could do a tour of what they've built in the game. They might choose to do a PowerPoint presentation or maybe a report where they use screenshots of their build to illustrate what they did. Or they might want to write something to describe their planning process. What were the features that they figured out were really key that they had to include in order for a visitor to their build to really be able to tell what it is that they were building. What were the details that they needed to include? Above all, I think it's important to remember that Minecraft is a game and it does have limitations, and so what they're going to be able to build inside the game is not going to be a 100% accurate reflection of what happens in real life, but I think what's important is that students should be able to explain why they've done things the way that they've done things, why they've made the decisions in the game, and that they recognize what those limitations were that caused them to make the decisions that they did. If they can express that, then that's really good going. So I hope this video has given you some ideas for how you might use Minecraft to teach about insects. It's a really great opportunity for students to focus in on details, on those key features that help to identify different groups of animals. And also it's a great opportunity for students to work collaboratively on really big projects by dividing up different parts of how a colony works and building them in small groups, or perhaps taking on the challenge of creating an entire environment, an entire habitat for an animal to live in. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more ideas.